the dark truth about human existence. Welcome back to my channel. Today we going to expose another dark truth about human existence that most people do not want to hear. But before we get into it, make sure to subscribe for more videos like this one. Also, stick around until the end if you dare. This is not for the faint of heart, and it goes without saying, viewer discretion is advised. Let's begin. Most people live their lives completely oblivious to the universe's indifference towards them. They fail to recognize that they are essentially just a collection of atoms that have temporarily assembled in a particular way. The intricate mechanisms of the body, which are so crucial for life, are often taken for granted. Even the simple act of breathing, something most people do without consciously thinking about it, is actually an incredibly complex process involving multiple organs and systems working in harmony. The human body is a remarkable creation, yet many people fail to appreciate the complexity and fragility of the biological machine that sustains them. They don't realize that they are alive by nothing more than the sheer probability that the right combination of circumstances led to their existence. There was no real reason why they were born into this world. One way to illustrate this point is to imagine the vastness of space and time and our insignificant place within it. Consider the fact that the Earth is just one small planet orbiting an average star, and there are billions of other stars out there that could have the potential for life. Yet somehow, by chance, we find ourselves here, alive at a time when the conditions are suitable for life. It's easy to feel as though we're at the center of the universe, but the truth is we're just a tiny blip in the grand scheme of things. We tend to overestimate our importance and underestimate the role of chance in our existence. Many believe that there must be some greater plan or purpose behind their life, but the reality is much more mundane. We're here because of a series of random events that led to our birth, and there's no deeper meaning or significance to our presence. Some people find comfort in the idea of being part of a greater plan, but it's important to remember that this is just a belief and not an objective truth. Our existence is ultimately up to chance. Another way to think about it is in terms of we've evolved over millions of years from simpler life forms, and it was only by a series of fortunate accidents that we ended up with the characteristics that allow us to survive and reproduce. For example, the fact that our ancestors were able to move from water to land and develop the ability to breathe oxygen was a pivotal moment in our evolutionary history. Without these adaptations, we wouldn't be where we are today. Similarly, the chance mutations that gave rise to the genes that make us us were essential to our survival. Again, we find ourselves here because of a series of random events, not because of any greater plan. It's also worth considering the improbability of life arising in the first place. The conditions that allowed life to emerge on Earth are very specific and fragile. If even one key factor had been different, life, as we know it, may not exist. For example, if the Earth had been slightly closer or further away from the Sun, the conditions for life would have been too extreme. If there had been slightly more or less gravity, life may not have developed. In many ways, we are the beneficiaries of an incredible series of coincidences, and it's important to acknowledge the role of chance in our existence. But it's not just our place in the universe that's the result of randomness. Our individual lives are also full of coincidences and lucky breaks. For example, we often find ourselves at the right place at the right time, meeting the right people who can help us achieve our goals. Sometimes it seems as though fate is on our side, and these lucky moments can shape the course of our lives. However, it's important to remember that these lucky breaks are often the result of preparation and hard work. We may be in the right place at the right time because we put in the effort to get ourselves there. Similarly, we may meet the right people because we actively seek out opportunities to network and build relationships. So while it's important to acknowledge the role of luck in our lives, it's also important to remember that luck is often the result of our own actions. The fact that we're alive and conscious is a remarkable event, but it's not something we should take for granted. It is easy to fall into the trap of thinking that we're here for a reason, or that our lives have some greater purpose. But the truth is, we're here because of a series of random events and coincidences. We need to be aware of the role of chance in our existence and not take our place in the universe for granted. Instead, we should appreciate the fragility and complexity of life and the unlikely chain of events that led to our existence. Now, let's move on to the next dark truth about human existence. Death is inevitable. From the moment we are born, we begin to die. Our cells start to deteriorate and break down, and we lose a little bit of our vitality every day. No matter how healthy we are or what we do, death is inevitable. We can't escape it, and it's something we need to come to terms with. The inevitability of death is a sobering thought, and it can be difficult to confront. But it's important that we do. Only by accepting our mortality can we truly appreciate the preciousness of life and make the most of the time we have. When we realize that our time is limited, we're more likely to take risks, pursue our dreams, and live life to the fullest. Death is the ultimate equalizer. It doesn't matter how rich or powerful we are, how famous or influential we become, death will eventually come for us all. It is a reminder that we should focus on what really matters in life and not get caught up in the pursuit of material wealth or status. Ultimately, death is a natural and necessary part of the cycle of life. It's what allows new life to emerge and for the planet to continue to thrive. We should strive to live as fully as possible while we're alive, knowing that our time is limited and that our death will ultimately contribute to the greater cycle of nature. There are many ways we can cope with the inevitability of death. Some people find comfort in religion or spirituality, while others find solace in spending time in nature or connecting with loved ones. It's important to find what works for you and to come to terms with your own mortality. By doing so, you'll be able to appreciate the preciousness of life and make the most of the time you have. This brings us to the final dark truth about human existence, and perhaps the most important one of all. You are alone. We like to think that we're surrounded by friends and loved ones, but the truth is, we're all alone in this world. Each of us is an individual with our own thoughts, feelings, and experiences. No one can truly understand what it's like to be you, and no one can replace you. We may feel connected to others, but ultimately each of us is on our own journey through life. We must each face our own challenges and make our own decisions. No one can do it for us. The realization that we're alone can be both liberating and terrifying. It means that we have the freedom to choose our own path in life. But it also means that we're responsible for the consequences of our actions. Ultimately, we're the authors of our own lives, and it's up to us to write a story that we can be proud of. It's important to remember that being alone isn't the same as being lonely. We can be surrounded by people and still feel isolated and disconnected. True connection comes from within. We must learn to love and accept ourselves before we can expect others to do the same. By coming to terms with our alone, we can free ourselves from the need for external validation and live a more authentic and fulfilling life. We've now covered 3 of the darkest truths about human existence. The universe doesn't care about you. Death is inevitable and you are alone. These are harsh realities, but they're important truths that we need to come to terms with. By facing these truths, we can learn to appreciate the preciousness of life and make the most of the time we have. We can learn to live more authentically and to find meaning and purpose in our own unique ways. So what do you think? Are you ready to hear the dark truth? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching.